Hello everybody and welcome to the second episode of Advanced Coaster School. Now before we get into doing some more stuff to our B&M Giga, I wanted to tell you I have thought about this series a little bit more and wanted to update you that each coaster is going to use 3 videos, giving us 15 videos total. So originally I thought we'd be able to finish it in 2 videos. With the progress that we got done yesterday of only completing the lift hill, I don't think 2 videos is going to be enough, and here's my reason why. We'll still need to finish the layout and finish all of the supports and the station. That's why I think we should do 3 videos. 1 video for the lift hill, second video of finishing the layout and starting supports, and then I'll do the rest of the supports off camera. The third video can be finishing up everything else that needs to be finished and the station. So that's what my thoughts are on that. You guys can let me know what you think about that. If you want it to change a little bit, that's possible. But anyway, let's get straight into this. So the first thing we're going to do is go into our coaster editor, obviously, and think about what we're going to do first. So obviously, I want to make sure that I have a nice shallow valley. I don't want to go right and just go straight up like that and make it extremely rough. I want to keep my nice flow of realism and make it super wide and nice so that it doesn't go insanely fast on that certain spot. So I think I'm going to go up about this steep, and then actually maybe I'm going to go up a little bit and turn a little bit this way. Give it a little bit of a turn this way. I'm going to give myself some heart line. I'm going to even this out. I'm doing a turn that's like Fury 325, where it first comes out, kind of does like this little turn. Going to turn this way, little outer bank like that. That should give it a nice fast speed while doing it too, just like that, making sure it's nice and smooth, that the banking isn't too rough on these spots, and I think it looks pretty good. So now we're going to pull it down. We're going to even out the banking and maybe even give it a little bit of a turn that leads out this way. So you want to make sure that if you start on an angle of descent, which is probably going to be this, you don't want to go any steeper than that because that looks hideous. I mean, so if you want to go steeper than this, then you would have to change this piece when it starts to incline, because this is what's stopping it. That's going down. Because I already passed my turning point in this drop, because I started curving down, so I can't go any farther down. I have to start evening it out. So I think for this, I'm just going to do a little bit of a turn here and pull this into an airtime hill. Actually, I don't know. What should I do? That looks pretty good so far. So, because this is Coaster School and it's a pretty short, I'm trying to cut down the videos a little bit. They're not going to be extremely long rides because that would take way too long to make and take up like a crazy amount of time. So I'm going to try and keep them a little bit shorter, but still a realistic like ride length. So I'm going to give this a little bit of an overbank here. As you can see, I'm kind of weaving it around the whole park right now. Looks pretty good right now. I'm going to even this out like that. That looks nice and smooth into the banking. So let's bring this back to the ground. This time it's going to go right up against the ground. Looking to make sure that my banking's okay, that it doesn't overbank right here, or that it's not rough. I'm going to make sure that all my transitions are super smooth. You don't want any gross nicks, and feel free to redo anything as you go, because that's truly the best way to do it, is to make a rough draft and redo all the bad spots to make them look super good. If that's your thing. If that's not your thing, don't do it. So I think what we're going to do here is a little speed hill. Give you some good air time, and then I'm going to do a treble clef type thing that Fury has. If I have enough space. I think I will. So I'm going to pull it back this way, give it a little bit of fake heart lining. and start going up. That looks nice. Get some good banking in here. Nice and high in the sky. Up a little bit more. And then now we're just gonna, it's just gonna pull it down. We just dive back to the ground. And make sure it's nice and smooth. That's not the most perfect thing, but it's okay. I'm not going for anything perfect here. Alright, this looks pretty good. So I think I'm going to do one more turn on camera and then just finish the rest of the layout off camera so it doesn't take too long, because I know this isn't the most entertaining thing to see. I mean, it could be, but it's probably not. Do a little bit of an S-bend here. This should come up into a big overbank like this. That looks good. Alright, so I think I'm going to finish the rest of the layout off camera, except for one thing. So I'm going to stop the ride here for now. I'm going to stop it right there, and I'm going to go to the end of the station. So with this new update, if you're not familiar with it, you're able to build things backwards now. So you can build from the backwards axis. See right here, I can build things backwards now, compared to just being able to build forwards and connect it up. So this is extremely helpful for your brake runs. So if you want to run 2 trains on this ride, you have to have 3 station segments. Now, the station segment has to be at least the size to be able to support the train length. So if you have 3 station segments with a 5-car long train, you're not gonna be able to do it. It's not gonna count as a station segment. So what we have to do here is we have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a little straight, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 3 segments like this gives us enough for 2 trains. If I do 1 more, it'd be 3 trains, and so on. So now we can just go ahead and do a brake run like this. I'm just gonna do a little bit of that. Angle it up because most Gigas have brake runs that go up. And they slowly angle down on the brakes. Like that. So that's a pretty good brake run. Gives it enough speed, gives it enough time to slow down. So now I'm just going to finish the rest of this off camera. So I'll see you when it's done. Okay, so I finished the layout on this coaster, and it is looking pretty good. So basically all I did from this turn, an airtime hill, I made a little helix, dropped down into back-to-back airtime moments that pulled into the brake run. So, the first thing you're going to do is just test your coaster raw without changing any settings and see what happens. Obviously, I already changed some settings from earlier, from when I tested it on the lift hill. So I'm going to just test it right now and just see what happens. Because the first thing to do is figure out the speed. You don't want to just leave it because you have all of those options with the ride operation pass that you'd kind of be missing out if you didn't change it to make it perfect. Because you have all those settings, you have the friction, gravity, all of that stuff to see what happens. So let's get a little bit of a ride on this. I'm going up the lift hill now. Okay, we're cresting the top of the lift hill now and down the huge drop. So let's see what happens here. Hopefully it's not too fast. Looks good so far. Coming down into this turn. Very good. Speed hill. Into that. It's a little bit slow. Actually, it's not too bad. We could decrease the friction a tiny bit. Nice little overbank. Big airtime hill. A helix, which is all very well paced. Back-to-back airtime and pull up into the brakes. Okay, so as you can see, those brakes don't stop us too well. It kind of flies through the brakes a little bit, so I am going to up the brake speed just a little bit. And I'm going to up the chain lift speed just a tiny bit too, because it was super slow going up the chain lift. That's why I had to cut it out. Okay, he says, hashtag Fury, but okay. probably said literally Fury, but horribly spelt it. Okay, so let's see what this is like now. I'll give you guys a front row. Okay, here we go, cresting the top. We have some very scared guests riding this, so here we go. Hopefully everything's smooth, and if I need to do any retracking, that can be done as well. Nice turn. That part's a little iffy. I could retract that if I wanted to. Nice speed hill into this treble clef. Pulling down at a good speed. Nice overbank. Final airtime and the brakes. Alright, I think that's a pretty good ride. The brakes could be upped a little bit more so that it actually stops you before it comes down. But that's okay. I'm just going to up those right now to 150. And I think that's a pretty good coaster. So, yes, I'll start on the supports today. I had to check the video time. So, when you do supports, there's a couple different ways to do it. I'm going to just bring my footers over here so they're easier to reach. And this guy too. And then I'm going to go into primitives, and there are a couple primitives that you can use, this one and this one. Those are the ones you'll need if you do it this way. So I'm going to make these metal, because the texture on the single rail coaster, which we use for the supports, is metal. And if this is plastic, not metal, then it's brighter than that, so it gets a really bad off color. So that's why you always want to make sure that your primitive supports are metal when you do them. So there's a couple different ways to do this. You can do them with primitives like this, and you can place a primitive just like that. You can do a combination of both. So you can do primitives when necessary, and then the single rail that comes out kind of like this, except it would be a straight down one and an out one. Or you can do all single rail. Now, if you do have a big park with a lot of coasters in it, I recommend that you use the primitives, because building a lot of single rails, you probably will hit the coaster limit, which is not the greatest thing, because you don't want to hit that. It's not very good, because then you can't place any more coasters and finish your park. There is ways to do it so that you use one single rail and just move it all the way back up and fix it. It's a lot more difficult. It's a lot more time consuming. But if you're willing to do that, then that's what you want to do. I do think that the single rail supports look a lot nicer, and you can get a lot more exact with them. But sometimes you gotta go. So I'm just doing these primitives here, just a little bit. I am going to do a mixture of both though, because actually that's not bad at all. I'm gonna leave that. I think this support can be moved. Actually, no, it can't. It's not good enough space. So this is kind of how you can do the supports, or you can do the supports with this, and you can go just like those ones and do either side like that and just make them all the way around, which is very difficult and very time consuming once again. But for the sake of this video, I'm just going to do these ones. So the straight down primitive, and I'm just going to grab this and build down. So one side is straight down, one side comes out just like that. And then I'll use these footers here for this. Obviously it doesn't line up. Actually, I'll just use this one because it's a lot easier. There we go. So that's a support that you can do. You don't have to do them for the super short ones like this one. It would be completely pointless because it would just look bad. But for the bigger ones, you can always do that, and it makes it look a lot nicer than what it would be with just a straight down pillar. So I'm going to be finishing these supports, and I will show you them all in video 3 coming out on either Saturday or Sunday, depending on what happens. Obviously, it's Easter. There's not really much you can do because you're locked in your house. But I might be busy on some of those days. So just look forward to video 3 coming out on this B&M Giga so that we can finish everything up, including the station. So I think that should be good and it for this episode. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And what do you think of this Giga so far? Leave a comment below. That's going to be it for today, so goodbye.